When you start learning to work with styles in your HTML pages, you begin by learning that there are two ways that you can put styles on the actual page where you are building the content for your page. Now remember, all page content is going to go here in the body section. The head section is where you put information about the page. So probably the first way that everybody learns how to write style rules is simply here in the element tags. And so you could simply write style equals color red, semicolon, and save this. And so now, rather than being the default color of black, when we run this in our browser, we'll see that the color of Hello World is red. We'll launch this, and sure enough, there it is, red. Now, rather than using inline styles like this, and it's called inline because you can see that it's in line with the text, and it has to be in this kind of a format. It's not ever going to be anything else. We're not ever going to have an instance in the body section where that we're going to have something like style down here and put a style element tag in the body section. Those go up in the head section. So here I could put style and then close that tag, and then up here I could put H1 and then start my style rule of color, and we'll make this blue. And so here I have the style rule set built up here for the H1 element, telling it that the color is going to be blue. Now this way, the H1 element throughout the entire page will be whatever color I tell it to be here. So if I had 30 some odd instances of H1 running throughout this page, for me to change it from red to blue means that I would have to change it everywhere throughout the page. But having it up here as an embedded style rather than down here as an inline style means that I can change it one place and have it propagate through the entire page. Now we have a problem here, and I'm going to show you what this is. I'm going to save this and go ahead and run it. Launch this in Firefox. Now you'll see that the problem here is pretty simple. Up here I have a style rule that says any H1 element make it blue, but down here I have a style rule that says that for this particular H1 I want it to be red. If I had another style down below that, I'll save this, come back to my browser, and then click refresh it. Now you can see that the first H1 element is red because I put an inline style that says make that particular H1 element red. Now the second H1 element does not have a specific inline style rule, and so it's going to go back to the one that I defined up here. It tells it to be blue, and that's what I have. So the only time you'd ever want to use an inline style like this is if you have something very specific that sort of forces you to do that. So we're going to try to keep all of our styles up here in the style section. So we have a style group here, and it's inside of the head section, never down here in the body section. We do the same thing here, like if we wanted the say body element to have a background, let's say of yellow. Hit Control S to save that, come back to our page, and we'll refresh. Now we see that we have the background of yellow, and now that both of our H1 text elements here are both in blue, just as it says up here. If we change this to red, Control S to save, refresh this, then we see we get our red. Now notice that the selectors, the H1 up here, does not have the less than and greater than symbols that we see down in the page content. The less than and greater than symbols are only to tell the browser that this is supposed to be styled as an H1 element. The H1 up here is not an actual H1 element tag. What it is, it's what we call a selector. And so the H1 here and the body here, see there's a body tag element here that has less than and greater than symbol, just to tell the browser that this is where the body starts, this is where the body ends. But up here in the style rule, it does not get the less than and greater than because it's not really an element that we're placing here, it's a selector. And this means that to select the body element, and when you find the body element, set it to this style rule, and that's exactly what we see whenever we run the page here. So just remember, inline styles down here, and you should always make that as few as absolutely possible. And then embedded styles will always go up in the head section, and then later in the term we will learn about external CSS. So inline CSS down here in the body, embedded CSS up in the head section, and then external CSS will be styles that we actually build in a different file altogether. It'll be a file that ends with .css.